Aaron Boone and Brian Cashman look to 2026 and beyond. Aside from manager search, which appears to be a slow and ongoing process, the Atlanta Braves' biggest need heading into the offseason is a shortstop. Nick Allen is clearly not an answer, considering he swings a toothpick and the Ha-Seong Kim's chances of testing free agency seem high, if not guaranteed. The Braves may have to get creative given the pool of free agent shortstops available, but one name they shouldn't try to pursue is Gleyber Torres. No paper. Torres seems still be an option for the Braves. He's coming off a solid year at bat with the Tigers, with a 113 WRC+, after signing a one-year deal last offseason, and has over 2,000 innings of experience at shortstop. Torres shouldn't be prohibitively expensive or require a long-term contract, and he could even be quite cheap after hernia surgery. However, a closer look shows that Torres simply isn't the player Atlanta should be pursuing unless he comes cheap and some fundamental factors change. Gleyber Torres isn't the Braves' off-season shortstop solution. There's certainly a price point where signing Torres makes sense to the Braves. It's not that he doesn't have offensive potential, and he's been named to several all-star teams. If he's willing to sign for a truly low price, that's fine. However, if Torres is looking for a long-term contract that will earn him real money, the Braves need to decline. Torres is so bad at shortstop of the Yankees, who had to be moved back to second base, where he's played since 2022. To compound the problem, Torres refused a change of Posiciono third base in the past and has shown little inclination to move off second base after his experience at shortstop was a disaster in his first attempt. Again, consider off-season targets who may not be playing shortstop at the moment, but that could work there isn't a bad idea. It's not much different than considering relievers who could be starters or vice versa. Unfortunately, Torres' defensive deficiencies and inflexibility should be disqualifying factors as the Braves continue their search for a shortstop. Behind the scenes of the Major League Baseball, one of the Braves' biggest offseason concerns is clear: a lacuna no shortstop. Nick Allen hasn't convinced, Ha-Seong Kim seems poised to test market, and management needs to act smartly. However, in the midst of this search, a controversial name emerged: Gleyber Torres, a former Yankees player who had a good offensive year with the Tigers on paper. It seems to make sense, but therein lies the danger. Torres has respectable numbers at bat, RC plus the 113, over 2,000 innings experience at shortstop, and just came off a recovery season after hernia surgery that IT would, theoretically, be a cheap piece with potential for impact. But when you look closely, you realize that statistics are deceiving, and if the Braves want to think about the future, not the patch, you need to stay away from this trap. And that's why today's conversation is so important. Because yes, there are times when the market tempts you with easy names, and that's when mistakes happen. The Braves are a team that rebuilt itself based on discipline, vision, and planning, and Gleyber Torres doesn't fit that philosophy. Why not Gleyber Torres first? Let's hit the facts straight. Torres has already been moved to second base in New York, because defensively he was a disaster at shortstop. Mistakes were frequent, coverage was slow, and simple plays turned into nightmares. He was moved precisely because he did not provide the minimum level of security in the position. Furthermore, when the Yankees tried to adapt him to third base, he refused to change. He showed resistance, a lack of flexibility, and that's dangerous on a team that needs versatility and a winning mentality. I am the Braves. No one is above the collective. Of course, at bat, he can still produce. But Atlanta doesn't just need offense. It needs solid defense and constancy at a player who accepts a tactical role, who understands the system, and who adds value, not complicates the board. So, even though Gleyber comes at a low price, the question is it worth the risk? Is it worth making room in the squad for someone who has already shown difficulty adapting? The answer, for me, is no. Many teams make the mistake of only thinking about now, looking at the payroll, the cost-benefit, and forgetting what the player represents on the field, not just in terms of statistics, but in terms of chemistry and team spirit. And that's where the Braves need to stay true to their essence. Since the restructuring, Atlanta stood out for betting on athletes who buy into the project. Players who understand what it means to wear this jersey and keep the flame burning game after game. Gleyber Torres, as talented as he is, does not fit this profile. The team needs someone committed, disciplined, and reliable, especially at shortstop, the heart of the defense. And that is exactly what is missing in Torres. The solution is not to look for impactful names. Butte search a fit if Ha-Seong Kim leaves. The Braves should look for a versatile, defensive, and tactically aware player, one who builds a foundation, not just grabs headlines. It's better to invest in a player who grows with the team than to bring in someone who needs to be molded again. And here's a message for you, fan. If you agree that the Braves need to think long-term, leave a like and comment below. What do you think the team should do? Bet on an established name or give a chance to a promising newcomer. Now hold on tight, because from here on out, I'm going to give Yumi complete and personal opinion, based on what I see happening behind the scenes, the statistics, and what this team represents. In my view, the Atlanta Braves need to protect yourself from emotional mistakes. Gleyber Torres is a tempting name. Former Yankees player, known talent, impressive resume. But modern baseball has already shown the past does not guarantee the present. The Braves don't need names. They need a fit of mentality. And when you analyze Torres' trajectory, you realize that he doesn't bring stability. He's the kind of player who can start well, but when the pace drops, the negative impact grows. There in New York, he was a symbol of defensive inconsistency. For the Tigers, even though he produced offensively, his defensive impact remained limited. And for a team that wants fight for titles, a recurring error at shortstop can cost entire games. The Braves have been building a solid foundation, and the fans feel it. For years, the franchise has avoided bad contracts, rushed negotiations, and unplanned bets. And that's exactly what you need to keep doing. Hiring Gleyber would be a step backward. IT would be like erasing everything that was learned in the last seasons. More than stats, the Braves need identity. That a champion team is defined by cohesion, not improvisation. Kim, for example, fits the bill because he's dedicated, technical, quiet, and committed. Torres, on the other hand, still seems to struggle with his own ego. And this isn't about doubting talent. It's about questioning a mentality. And at the Braves, mentality is everything. Every player needs to understand that they're not just playing baseball. They're representing a city, a passionate fan base, and a history of glory. The Braves can't afford to bring in someone who doesn't yet understand that. Now, looking ahead, the board needs to stay focused. Look for young players with good glove work, a tactical mindset, and a desire to grow within the system. Prioritize cast chemistry. And above all, maintain the winning culture that has been built. Because that's what sets the Braves apart. It's not the payroll, it's not individual brilliance, it's a collective spirit. And honestly, bringing in Gleyber Torres would be a dangerous gamble. IT may seem advantageous on paper, but the risk of upsetting the team's balance is too great. My opinion is straightforward. The Braves must stay away from Gleyber Torres. Simple as that. Atlanta needs stability, not improvisation. IT needs confidence, not nostalgia. And fans deserve a team that plays with soul, not just names. So, fan, now I want to hear from you. Do you think the Braves should take a chance and bring in Gleyber Torres? Or would you rather see the team invest in someone more solid, with a team profile? Leave your comment below. Let's debate like true fans, with heart and reason. Because, in the end, the Braves aren't just a team, they're a family. And every decision matters. Let's stand together, Braves Nation, because the future is still being built. Fans, the truth is simple. The Braves don't need Gleyber Torres. They need cohesion, focus, and loyalty to their own identity. Gleyber is the kind of player who shines one month and disappears the next. And the Braves are the kind of team that need someone who shines year-round. This decision goes far beyond the field. It's a choice about the kind of team Atlanta wants to be. And if the Braves want to remain the symbol of MLB's discipline and purpose, then they need to maintain that standard. Therefore, my opinion is clear and non-negotiable. The Braves should stay away from Gleyber Torres. Not for lack of talent, but for lack of fit. Not for lack of numbers, but for lack of profile. The Braves are building something bigger than statistics. They're building a legacy. And legacy is built with character, commitment, and intelligence. And you, fan, what do you think? Should the Braves take a risk and bring in Gleyber Torres? Or stay focused on who truly represents the soul of this team? Leave your comment below, because this discussion is for those who truly love the Braves. And remember, a Braves jersey isn't for everyone. It's for those who understand the weight of every play, every inning, every hard-fought victory. Let's get together, Braves Nation, because next season won't just be about baseball. It'll be about identity. And the Braves' identity is clear. Work, unity, and victory. Always.